I'm a little bit late to the party, but let's talk about the World Series. So, as I said, I'm a little bit late to this because I was traveling during the final couple games of the World Series. I did post a couple short videos, but I wanted to talk about the World Series in the longer form. So here we are, about a week later. It is Saturday, November 8th as we're recording this. And first off, I want to give a huge congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers for repeating as World Series champions. It is the second World Series title for Shohei Ohtani. It is the first for Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who was named World Series MVP after pitching two incredible games in this series, as well as he warmed up in the bullpen for a third game and did not come into the game. I texted some people during this run that Yamamoto was on, and I was like, he's the modern day Zach Greinke, because there was a period a couple of years ago where Zach Greinke pitched like 3 team games in a row, and I was like, this is what he's doing. But Yoshinobu Yamamoto was phenomenal in this series and rightfully deserved World Series MVP. And I think when I look back on the series, I've been thinking about it for about a week. When I look at this series, I think this all boils down to 1, missed opportunities, and 2, just experience. So first, let's talk about experience. The Dodgers have been here before. Most of this roster has been here before. Shohei Ohtani, as I mentioned, has been in 2 World Series. Mookie Betts has been in multiple World Series with the Dodgers and the Red Sox. Freddie Freeman, 2 with the Dodgers, 1 with the Braves. Clayton Kershaw, he now has 3 titles. So this team is full of World Series experience. And that cannot be overstated, especially when you look at the other side with the Toronto Blue Jays, where there is very little World Series experience on that side. Pretty much the most notable name as far as experience is Max Scherzer, and he didn't play a huge role in this series, but this is Vlad Guerrero's first World Series, Bo Bichette's first World Series, Alejandro Kirk. George Springer obviously has World Series experience, and that was crucial, and we thought that maybe the moment that he left, I believe it was Game 3 with injury, that could turn the tide, and because Toronto needed him at the top of that lineup with his World Series pedigree. But then you look at the rest of the nucleus, and there's not a lot of experience. Trey Savage cemented himself as a dominating force in this series, and he's a rookie. So I think when you look at it, it came down to experience. Dave Roberts has managed in the World Series before. John Schneider has not. That's one thing. The other thing, and I think this does go hand in hand with the experience, is the missed opportunities by the Blue Jays. They left 18 runners on base in Game 6 and 7 alone. I won't even mention the runners left on base for Game 3 for both teams, that crazy 18-inning game. But the Blue Jays left 10 men on base in Game 6, lost by 2. They left 8 men on base in Game 7, lost by 1. And the Blue Jays have nothing to be ashamed about losing the series. This was an incredible World Series. Every game was entertaining. The Blue Jays came out on fire, starting with an 11-4 victory in Game 1, smashing multiple home runs early. The 18-inning game in Game 3. The unbelievable catch by Andy Pages to basically save the Dodgers' season and championship hopes in that game. There was runners on base. That ball was hit hard. It looked like it was going to drop, and Andy Pages came out of nowhere. We saw a moment in there where Andy Pages reaches over the head of Kike Hernandez, who basically flops to the dirt and kind of lays there for a long period of time. And Kike Hernandez did an interview the other day where he said, because many people thought that he had hurt himself on that play, and he did an interview where he said, no, I didn't hurt myself. I got out of the way because I saw him coming, and so I literally let myself fall to the ground, and I thought that the ball fell in. So the reason I was laying there was because I was distraught thinking that we had just lost the World Series. And it was only after Pages tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, are you okay? And he said, no, I'm not okay. We just lost the World Series. And Pages told him, no. And he showed him the ball. He's like, I have the ball. And that's when you saw Kike Hernandez pop up and run off the field smiling. So it wasn't that he hurt himself. It was that he thought he lost the series by not catching the ball, or Pages not catching the ball. But again, I think this boils down to experience. I think this was a situation where the Blue Jays have not been into the World Series since '93. Only a few of their players have World Series experience. The Dodgers are here, or at least threatening to be here, every year. This is their third World Series since 2020. Clayton Kershaw and Mookie Betts and a couple other players have been there for all three. And they make deep playoff runs every year. So this is an experienced team, and I think that is what won out. But I do want to say congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers. But I do expect the Toronto Blue Jays to be back. When the season started, we did not expect Toronto to be good. They quietly became the best team in the American League for much of the season. They beat the Seattle Mariners in the ALCS, and many people thought the Seattle Mariners were poised to make the World Series on the back of the magical run of this season by Cal Raleigh and that pitching staff. But the Blue Jays never went away, and they earned their spot in the World Series, and this was an incredible series. So I expect the Blue Jays to be back on the backs of Vlad Jr. and his new contract. It'll be interesting to see if, now that they've made a run at the World Series, if they'll manage to bring Bo Bichette back. Because obviously for half of last year and much of this year, it was expected that Bo Bichette was going to get traded, that there was question that he even wanted to be there. But now that they've made a World Series run, do they get it worked out with Bichette? Do they bring him back? Does Trey Savage capitalize on the stardom that was thrust upon him in this World Series? Do they sign more pitching? Does Max Scherzer come back, or does he retire? So it'll be really interesting to see how the Toronto Blue Jays rebound going into next year. I've long had a theory that after a Super Bowl or an NBA Finals or a World Series, keep a close eye on the team that loses, because they know how close they were. So they're usually a little bit more motivated going into the next season. So I'll be keeping my eye on the Toronto Blue Jays. But that wraps up officially, for Empire Sports Talk at least, the 2025 Major League Baseball season. And by the time the 2026 season comes around, we're going to have a little something special in store for you. So stay with us for that. But in the meantime, congratulations to the 2025 Los Angeles Dodgers. I'll see you on the next one.